welcome back. Today we will be organizing, building, and transforming my new room and my new bookshelf space and to create my dream cozy little library nook, and I'm so excited about it. As you can see behind me, I have all of my books. Yesterday I went through them. Not only did I unbox them, but I also kind of went through them and decluttered a little bit. So I ended up unhauling around 50 or so books. I just have them on my desk over there. I just really want these new bookshelves to be a little bit of a fresh start and really only to have books that I love and that mean a lot to me and that I can see myself rereading, or books that I really want to read. It felt really nice to kind of go through and get rid of some books that I just don't feel the need to keep anymore and that I think will be a little bit happier in a different home. All the books behind me though are all the ones that I will be keeping, and I'm so excited to finally organize them. I have been thinking a lot about how I wanted to organize my books in this new space. In my last room I had these beautiful built-in floating bookshelves that my dad and I built a couple of years ago, and they were honestly so nice. In my last room I didn't have a lot of floor space, so it was a really great storage solution, but it was also really beautiful. Because they were built into the wall, I obviously couldn't bring them with me, so when I was thinking about how I wanted to organize my books in the new space, I knew that I wanted to have some actual bookshelves. The thing with the floating shelves, and just because they were super long, it was a little bit inconvenient to organize them. There were no dividers basically between each shelf, and sometimes they would fall down, and I just wanted to, have the experience of having actual bookshelves. I decided to go with the IKEA Billy bookcases. Honestly a classic at this point. I feel like the iconic bookshelves that everybody has. I also didn't want to go out and get some really fancy ones or try to, DIY some again, because I don't really know how long I'm going to be living in this room. I think the next couple of years will be uncertain. I would like to move out at some point, and it's nice to have bookshelves that are very portable and that I can kind of just bring with me throughout the next uncertain years of my life. Yesterday I actually built all of the bookshelves. It was definitely a process. There were definitely blood, sweat, and tears involved. I also might have made myself a little bit sick, so that's why my voice sounds a little bit strange. But yeah, all the bookshelves are now built. I did get a couple clips of that, so I will show you that now. Okay, I am now standing behind my fully built bookshelves and I'm obsessed with how it looks. I will be doing a completely separate video going over the process of how I am decorating this room and organizing it and showing you just the furniture and the layout and that sort of thing. But basically this room is quite a bit bigger than my last one, which I'm very excited about, but it is very window heavy. There's not a lot of wall space, and I knew that I really wanted to have a little bookshelf nook and kind of have them in the corner. I've seen a lot of people do this and I think it's just so cozy. So this was kind of location wise the only option if I wanted to do that and have two adjacent walls. I wasn't sure if there was an IKEA in Austin. I think there actually might be one. I'm not entirely sure, but I did buy these in advance and I was kind of estimating how much space I would need. Yesterday when I was unpacking all of my books, I did also count them, and after unhauling around 50 of them, I have around 200 books, and I don't know how that's going to necessarily translate into the space. I ended up getting two of the normal sized bookcases and then one of the skinnier ones, and I have no idea if that's going to be the right amount of space. I have a feeling we might have a little bit extra room, which is great because we have room to grow. These are also currently not attached to the wall. I'm going to work on that tonight. I just have some fairy lights that I want to hang up along this wall, and once I do that we can attach these to the wall, but I think until then it should be fine to go ahead and start organizing all of the books. I don't think it will be too much of a hazard, but I will be attaching them to the wall because that is something that makes me a little bit anxious, and I don't necessarily trust my building building skills, but I guess we will just go ahead and start the organizing process. I don't really have too much of a game plan. I have a couple little decorations and things that I might add afterwards, and then I also have some plants that I would like to add to the shelves, but I guess we'll just kind of see what happens. I think I'm just gonna start making different piles and kind of start putting things in shelves and just playing around with it. I'm also thinking just from like a filming perspective, I think that those like two middle rows here will be the most visible. I think I'll be sitting a lot in this chair to film, and so having like maybe my prettier books and some of my favorites in these two rows. I also know that I definitely want to separate my physical TBR from my read books. That's just how I've kind of always done it, and I really like that. So I think I'm actually going to put my physical TBR books on this bottom shelf here. I do have a couple shelves that I know for certain I want to do. Like I know I want to have a little V. Schwab shelf. I know I want to have an Emily Wilde shelf. I really want to do like a kind of gothic dark academia shelf. I feel like that will be really fun. I'm just going to start putting everything on the shelves and seeing how it goes. Okay, I think for the most part it's done, but I do have a couple little things that I think would look really cute, so we're just gonna go through and add those now, add all the little finishing touches, and then we can do the official bookshelf tour. I am so happy with how these shelves are looking. I think for the most part they're done now. I mean, they could be completely different tomorrow. I definitely already see like a couple little things that I want to move around and kind of experiment with, but I think for the most part they're done now, and I'm just so excited. I'm so happy with them. I've never had bookshelves like this before, so very, very grateful, and I thought I could give you guys a little tour. I won't go, you know, super in depth, but I'll show you the layout and why I decided to put things where they are, some of the little trinkets, and I'm just so excited. Get used to this being my new filming background. Okay, starting on the very bottom here, we have my little physical TBR shelf. It's a little bit messy because I moved a couple of the books from here. But yeah, these are basically just all the books that I have but haven't read. Here are all of my unread books. I am pretty excited about it. I just got rid of a couple, so everything left on here I'm very excited to read. And then on this little bottom shelf here, I decided to put all of my current like summer TBR type books. I thought it'd be fun to kind of reserve this bottom shelf for my monthly TBRs, my seasonal TBRs, just my more immediate books that I would like to read. And then the other bottom shelf is empty now, and I'm planning on putting all of my past journals here. I think that will be really nice and very special. Moving on to the next shelf. This one just has my like childhood books, so a lot of books that I've had for years and series that I loved in middle school. And then I also decided to put ACOTAR there. I did unhaul Throne of Glass, which was a little bit sad, but I did decide to keep ACOTAR because I did really love at least the first two books when I read it a couple of years ago, and I just wanted to keep it, and I feel like this is a really good spot for it. This little shelf here was honestly a little bit miscellaneous and just has some of my favorites, I guess. Books I didn't really know where to put anywhere else, but The Song of Achilles is one of my favorite books of all time, and then I have the Gilded Wolf series, which is another one of my favorites. Over here I just have some little series, so I have some fantasy series and then the Stalking the Jack the Ripper series, and I just liked to keep them together. Moving on to the next shelf, I think this next shelf might be my absolute favorite. I just think it's so pretty. This has some of my favorite editions. First, I just have the US copies of the Emily Wilde series. I did split this up. I was originally planning on doing like a big Emily Wilde display, but I decided to split it up. Then I have my Stephanie Garber books. These are all the UK editions of the Caraval series, and then the Once Upon a Broken Heart series. Both of these I read years ago, but I really loved, and these are some of the prettiest books in my collection. They're just so gorgeous. Then we have some more really pretty UK editions. This is the Belladonna series, and I just love these covers so much. And then of course the Emily Wilde series, one of my favorite. These are all the UK editions, and then I have the Fairy Loot edition of the second one, which I feel very grateful to have. And then I just have this little macaron ornament. I think I actually got this at Target a couple of years ago, and again I just collect everything with macarons on it basically, and I feel like the pastel colors just go really well in this section. And then I have another little mushroom. I have lots of little like mushroom things too. I guess I also collect those, and I wanted to put something mushroom related next to the Emily Wilde series because, you know, it just makes sense. Then moving to the little mini display shelf, we have one of my favorite series of all time, which is the Strange the Dreamer duology. I just have the US paperbacks, which I have annotated, and then I think these are the Owl Crate editions. I just took the dust jacket off, and they're so beautiful. I knew that I wanted to have those on display too. And then this shelf here is my mystery thriller section. Except for the Stalking the Jack the Ripper series, I just decided to put that on the other shelf, but I have my Jennifer Lynn Barnes, The Natural series. I did did just decide to unhaul the Inheritance games because that's just not one of my favorites, but I do really love this series. And then I have all of my Holly Jackson books, which I've been reading for years, and I love her so much as an author. A recent favorite, The Resurrectionist. I love this cover, so I'm really happy to put it on display. And then the Anatomy Immortality duology. I feel like this is a very, you know, historical little gothic mystery section, which I love. And then as for decorations, I have this really cute little like house teapot that I found at a thrift store last year, and I just think it's the prettiest thing. And then I have a little picture frame with my dogs, which I thought was really cute. Moving on to the next shelf, I think this is another one of my favorites just because these have honestly some of my all-time favorite books. Like every single book on the shelf is pretty much a 5-star. So first I have the Six of Crows duology. I actually thrifted these and I found I think these are like the first printed edition. They have these cool edges, which I thought was so cool. I read this series actually earlier this year and I loved it so much. And then we have the Legend Board series, also out of order. Oh my gosh. This is another one of my favorites as well. I feel like I've talked a lot about Oathbound this year. A recent favorite is the Little Thieves trilogy. I also thrifted these as well. I also thrifted the first two in the Legendborn. There was a really great used bookstore in my old area, and I found a lot of really great deals here, including, honestly, a lot of these books. And then we have my little Rebecca Ross shrine, I guess. I do have one other of her books on the next shelf, but these are my favorite series from her. Both of these I read a couple years ago, and I love them so much, and I've really been wanting to do a reread this year. This is the Letters of Enchantment duology, which I absolutely love. I have this beautiful Fairy Loot edition, which I think is so pretty. And then potentially my favorite of her two duologies, this is the Elements of Cadence duology. These covers are really beautiful. This is the UK of the second one, and then this is actually the Illumicrate of the first one. I found a really great deal on it, and these are just absolutely stunning. And I've been really wanting to do a reread of these, and I think I want to do that soon, to be honest. Then on this little shelf here, this is my little Dark Academia shelf, which I feel like is so cute. I don't know if you can technically consider Erin Morgenstern's books Dark Academia, but I feel like I always see people including those in that category, so I just decided to put them there. I feel like they fit anyway on the shelf pretty well. This is the Scholomance series. I have the UK copies of them. One of my all-time favorite books, If We Were Villains. I have this really beautiful edition. And then the UKs of Erin Morgenstern's books and the UK paperback of Babel, which is another one of my favorites. Moving to this shelf here, we have another one of my favorite shelves. This is, I guess, kind of my gothic shelf. Honestly, just like tall, dark hardcovers as well, but I also love so many of these books. I also decided to put my book nook on this shelf, and I think it fits with these covers and spines so beautifully. This is a book nook I built a couple months ago, and I just think that it is absolutely perfect. I'm so excited to have it on my shelves. It's just so whimsical. And then I do have a couple special editions here. Like I have I think this is the Owl Crate edition of Starling House by Alex E. Harrow. This is absolutely beautiful and one of my favorite gothic books. And then another one of my favorite gothic books is The Last Tale of the Flower Bride, and this is the beautiful Fairy Loot edition. So I really love to have these displayed. And then I have this special edition of The Cruel Prince. I did unhaul the paperback series, but I kept this special edition because I really like it, and I don't know, maybe one day I'll do a reread of it. And then here I have the US hardcover of The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. Again, I just took the dust jacket off because I think that the naked hardcover is just so much prettier, and another one of my recent favorites. I also wanted to have that one on display. And then I just put a little candle here. I honestly probably won't light it because I feel like that's a little bit of a fire hazard, but this one is so pretty. It has these gorgeous like pressed flowers into it. Moving to the next shelf, the next is, I guess, my rainbow shelf, but also a lot of my more like kind of cozy cottagecore type books. I stole this pothos plant from my mom, so hopefully she'll let me keep it, but it just drapes very beautifully down. As you can see, it's so long, and I feel like this adds so much to the shelves, having real plants or even fake ones, just to add that little pop of green and add that like magical feel. On the shelf I also have this little ornament that I made last year, and it's just like a little tree stump and some mushrooms, which is like super cottagecore and cute and just very fitting for this shelf, I feel. And then moving on to the little mini display shelf, this is my V.E. Schwab collection. It fits so perfectly on the shelf. My current read is her new release, Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil, and I'm not sure where I'm going to put that one just yet. I might put it on my like Gothic shelf. This is her, I guess her like 2 main series, and The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, of course, and I love how this looks so much. Maybe once I read more of her books, we can do like a full V.E. Schwab shelf. I feel like that will look really cool. But for now, I love how this looks. I'm currently reading A Conjuring of Light, but the rest are all read and some of my favorites as well. This next shelf here is a little bit miscellaneous, but we just have more kind of Gothic books. I guess you could say some Erin A. Craig, The 13th Child, and then I have her other books on the other side. A Sorceress Comes to Call by T. Kingfisher, A Setting Drowning, just some of my more, I guess, Gothic books, or honestly just these like shorter hardcovers that just look really, really nice together. I wouldn't call the Spell Shop or Sword Art Gothic by any means, definitely more like cozy fantasy, but again, they just look really nice on the shelf. I also have the Graceling series, which again, I just think looks really nice on this shelf. I also have this really cute little like ornament planter thing that again I made last year, and I think that it's so cute. There's like these little critters that they always fall down, but they look really cute on the little mushroom. Again, very like cottagecore and fairy. Maybe not the most fitting for this particular shelf, but I had to display this. It's so cute. And then I also have this giant ceramic mushroom that kind of works a little bit as a bookend. I bought this at HomeGoods thinking that I was going to put it with my Emily Wilde books, but it didn't end up fitting and working out, so I just put it here, and I do think that it looks really nice, to be honest. I love this mushroom so much. I have no idea why. It's so, I don't know, it's just a mushroom. And then as for my top shelves, they're a little bit all over the place. These were just kind of working with the rest of the books that I had left. In this corner, I just have some darker covered paperbacks. I didn't really know where else to put. And then one of my houseplants I decided to put here too. This middle shelf, I put my classics. These Barnes & Noble editions of the classics I think are really pretty. And then another little mushroom decoration. This one has my bookmarks in it. And this last shelf is super random. It just has a random hardcover and then some of my like little mini books, my little novellas that I wanted to keep, and then another one of my plants. And that is pretty much it for those shelves. Okay, I think that is it for this bookshelf organization video, creating my dream home library. I am so excited about it. I think it's really, really cozy and very whimsical, so very perfect for my style and the things that I like. I think I'm actually gonna put my like reading chair right here and have just like a little reading nook, and then later today I'm also gonna hang up some fairy lights on the wall, so it will just be such a nice vibe. I feel like bookshelves are definitely one of those things that are always a little bit of a work in progress, but that's the kind of fun part as well. You always get to grow your collection and move things around, and I'm just excited about it. I'm excited to have all my books together in one place. I'm so happy with how it turned out. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching. Definitely stay tuned for one of my next videos, which will be my bedroom makeover, and I'm also very, very excited about that. But that is pretty much it for me today. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in my next video very soon. Bye!